At 11:47 p.m. on July 14, 2025, a convoy of armored vehicles belonging to the Sinaloa Cartel, packed with drugs, cash, and weapons, ripped through the Arizona desert like a storm racing toward the U.S. border. This wasn't just another smuggling run. It was a bold incursion, powered by enough firepower to obliterate anything that stood in its way. They thought the path was clear, that not a single American soldier would dare show up in this barren stretch of desert. But hidden in the shadows and watching from the skies, the deadly eyes and hands of the United States were locked in and ready. What happens when Mexico's most powerful drug traffickers unknowingly drive straight into a trap laid by SEAL Team 6 and the U.S. Air Force don't blink? Stay locked in until the secret is revealed. And don't forget to subscribe and drop your thoughts on this showdown in the comments below. Cardall? At 11:47 p.m. on July 14, 2025, the southern Arizona desert rumbled with the thunderous roar of heavy diesel engines. Sand churned beneath cold white headlights, swirling into ghostly trails in the dark. In the still sweltering summer night, 14 armored pickup trucks and 3 heavy-duty transports from the Sinaloa Cartel closed in on the border. 5 .50-caliber machine guns were mounted on the rooftops, their metal glinting in the dark muzzles, sweeping side to side as if ready to tear through anything in their way. In the truck beds and cabs, more than 60 gunmen armed and paid to kill chattered constantly over radios, convinced this remote route had been cleared by local bosses. But high above, at over 26,000 feet, a United States Air Force MQ-9 Reaper had been tracking every mile of the convoy's movement since it left Hermosillo, Sonora, and crossed into this desolate land. Every red brake light that flashed, every radio signal transmitted, was recorded and sent immediately to the command center at Davis Monthan Air Force Base in Tucson. In the command station's dark war room, a 12-panel screen displayed a 3-dimensional map, thermal images, and live data from the UAV, where officers from SEAL Team 6, the Air Force, and the DEA silently watched, waiting for the perfect moment to spring the meticulously prepared trap. Over the past 72 hours beyond the cartel's detection, an AC-130J Ghost Rider quietly circled its 30mm and 105mm cannons locked on target, carrying flares and laser-guided munitions ready to receive the order to fire. On the ground along the sheer cliffs of a narrow canyon, located 8 kilometers from the border, 16 SEAL members lay prone. A-1 rifles with suppressors were placed on bipods, their infrared scopes slowly sweeping for any thermal signatures from the convoy, which had been tagged by DEA intelligence. Behind the steel and LED lights were 2.4 tons of crystal meth, 500 kilograms of pressed fentanyl, and over $50 million in cash packed in plastic containers. A shipment intended to be exchanged for tactical weapons from a smuggling network in Texas. The order from the White House was clear: capture or eliminate all of them. Don't let anything cross the border. At the chosen choke point, seismic sensors buried deep in the sand detected the first vibrations as the lead pickup truck rolled past. Infrared cameras hidden in rock crevices recorded the growing heat signatures as the vehicles filed into the canyon. Through encrypted headsets, the commander's voice was clear and concise. Hold your fire. Wait until they are completely in the kill zone. High above, just a few dozen meters from the convoy, the desert wind whistled through the yucca bushes, while on the ground, the Sinaloa steel snake crawled deeper into the kill zone, unaware that every escape route had been sealed long ago. The chosen canyon was no coincidence. It was a 600-meter-long narrow stretch enclosed by 40-meter-high cliffs with natural rock crevices large enough to conceal people and weapons. The ground was a gravel road just wide enough for 2 vehicles to pass. The GPS signal was naturally weak due to the terrain blocking the waves, giving a clear advantage for electronic warfare. Over the past 7 days, the SEAL Team 6 reconnaissance team had surveyed every inch, marking combat positions with infrared reflective paint visible only through special glasses. M18A1 Claymore mines were buried in a staggered pattern at varying depths to prevent them from being destroyed all at once, with detonator wires discreetly hidden, leading to safe firing points above. Behind the convoy, a retreat route was blocked by remotely activated obstacles to prevent any attempts to turn back. Over the past 72 hours, U.S. forces had been tracking the convoy with both low-altitude RQ-20 Puma drones and high-altitude MQ-9 Reapers, combined with low-orbit satellites, to update every route change. Thermal images showed the vehicles operating at maximum capacity, with high heat signatures coming from the cargo bays, possibly from electronic devices, and small internal combustion engines, likely generators tied to the shipment. At the Mobile Command Center in Davis, Monthan, the 12-panel screen displayed a 3-dimensional map of the area, live data from the UAV's intercepted radio signals and alternative routes the enemy might take. Each time the convoy changed its speed or formation, a liaison officer updated the AC-130J crew on optimal firing solutions. About 25 kilometers from the Mexican border, the convoy turned off Highway 15 onto a little-known dirt road, a shortcut through the desert to avoid Mexican checkpoints and low-altitude U.S. drones. What they didn't know was that the DEA had planted a guide among them to lead them straight into this very canyon, the designated kill zone. The cartel's mindset was one of absolute confidence. They moved at a speed of about 60 kilometers per hour, with no reconnaissance vehicles too far ahead. The gunmen sat exposed in the truck beds, ready to unleash a volley of fire if they encountered rival gangs or robbers, but completely dismissing the possibility of facing U.S. forces, which they had long believed to be impossible in this area. From above, the AC-130J Ghost Rider maintained a wide orbit out of radar or visual detection, but its 30mm and 105mm cannons were pre-aimed. The optics slowly tracked each vehicle's roof, prioritizing targets based on thermal signatures and weapon shapes. On the canyon ridges, 16 SEALs divided into 4 teams, each responsible for a section of the kill zone, had their M4A1 and MK17 SCAR-H rifles locked onto their firing positions. The infrared scopes constantly scanned, while their noise-canceling headsets with microphones received direct orders from the commander. Meanwhile, an electronic warfare team deployed 2 small GPS jammers hidden in rock crevices, ready to disrupt any of the convoy's navigation devices, causing panic when the battle began. On the ground, seismic sensors and hair-thin laser wires camouflaged among the yucca and cacti detected each vehicle passing, providing precise data on vehicle type, weight, and timing to the command center. At 1:14 a.m., the lead pickup truck passed the first sensor point. A red dot appeared on the 3-dimensional map, followed by the second, then the third. until all 17 vehicles gradually entered the canyon. In the command room, the atmosphere was tense, every eye glued to the kill zone path. The commander gave a short, clear order over the encrypted radio. Hold fire, let them get deeper. Block both ends. On the UAV screen, the convoy looked like a steel snake, crawling into a sealed box, unaware that the box's teeth were ready to snap shut at any moment. When the 8th vehicle reached the middle of the kill zone, a shot from a position on the ridge detonated a series of M18A1 Claymore mines. Thousands of steel balls tore through the tires, glass, and gun mounts on the 3 lead vehicles. The explosion threw 2 .50 caliber machine gun operators from their positions. The blast echoed, reverberating off the canyon walls, creating a thunderous roar through the desert. Almost simultaneously from the pitch-black sky, the AC-130J Ghost Rider opened fire with its 30mm Bushmaster cannons. Tracer rounds rained down, piercing the armored cabs and sending glowing shards of steel falling like rain onto the narrow road. The convoy erupted into chaos. Cartel gunmen jumped from the truck beds, seeking cover behind wheels or ditches. But both cliff faces lit up with small flashes from the M4A1 and MK-17 Scar H rifles of SEAL Team 6. Every shot was deliberate, quickly neutralizing heavy weapon targets for those trying to regain the gun mounts. From the rear, a pickup truck tried to turn around, but was blocked by an armored vehicle behind it. Its front tire exploded, and the chassis collapsed, blocking the escape route. A high-pitched shriek from a laser-guided round from the AC-130J signaled a precision strike on a heavy weapon vehicle in the middle of the convoy. The moment the warhead penetrated the armor and exploded, the entire cargo bay burst into flames. Dozens of ammunition crates and explosives caused a chain reaction, sending a fireball engulfing 2 nearby pickup trucks. The heat scorched the canyon walls so intensely that the SEALs had to retreat a few steps into cover. Meanwhile, in the middle of the canyon, a group of cartel gunmen set up an anti-tank RPG-7 launcher aimed at the SEAL position. But as the launcher was exposed, a 7.62mm round from an MP7 pierced the operator's shoulder. The RPG fell and detonated prematurely, killing 2 accomplices nearby. High above, small Black Hornet drones flew near the intact vehicles, transmitting close-up images to the command center to locate El Gallo, the Sinaloa lieutenant. He was now in the armored cab of a Ford Raptor near the front of the convoy, his face clearly panicked as he yelled into his radio, receiving only static due to complete jamming. A 105mm round from the AC-130J landed less than 5 meters from his vehicle. The blast threw sand and gravel, shattering the windshield and forcing him to duck low in his seat. On the ground, a SEAL from Team 2 was hit by a flying shard of glass in the shoulder, blood soaking through his soft armor. A teammate pulled him into a rock crevice, reporting the injury over the priority channel. A few minutes later, the sound of an HH-60W combat rescue helicopter's rotor blades echoed from the north. The helicopter descended using the darkness and cliffs as cover to evacuate the injured person without entering the enemy's line of fire. The cartel's resistance became sporadic. Some groups returned fire with AK-47s and handguns, but they didn't have the range to reach the SEAL positions. Others climbed onto the roofs of armored vehicles to operate the machine guns, only to become immediate targets for the snipers on the eastern ridge, where two SEALs with Mk-13 Mod 7 rifles had pre-calculated their shots. Plop. By 1:21 a.m., just 7 minutes after the first explosion, nearly half of the convoy was neutralized. The burning vehicles blocked the narrow road. Flames and smoke mingled with tracer rounds. Screams blended with the sound of clashing metal, creating a scene both violent and suffocating. On command, the AC-130J switched to suppressive fire using laser-guided rounds to eliminate the remaining pockets of resistance, while avoiding damage to the cargo intended for seizure. The electronic warfare team intensified the jamming, spoofing the cartel's GPS and radio signals, causing some of the still operational vehicles to drive out into the open desert straight into a second ambush with no escape. The kill zone was like a shaken iron box. Every attempted counterattack by the cartel was instantly crushed. Every move was anticipated, every corner covered by at least one SEAL gun barrel under the flashing light of flares from the Ghost Rider. The vehicles were torn apart, gun mounts broken, and the panicked figures formed a chaotic scene prey, realizing too late they had entered a tiger's den with every exit locked. On the western ridge, the previously positioned MQ-9 Reaper suddenly lowered its altitude, locked onto an intact ammunition vehicle at the rear of the convoy, and fired an AGM-114 Hellfire. The hot white streak pierced the metal roof of the vehicle, exploding violently. The blast and heat ignited all the ammunition inside, causing a chain of explosions that destroyed two nearby armored pickup trucks. Shards of steel shot off the cliffs like a rain of knives, neutralizing anyone taking cover nearby. The AC-130J continued to circle, destroying small pockets of resistance with precise 30mm bursts, preventing any attempts to rally or return fire. On the ground, the SEAL teams descended from the ridges, moving along the smoking vehicle wrecks, sweeping for targets with weapon-mounted flashlights. Short commands crackled over headsets, perfectly synchronized with the supporting fire from above. At the front of the convoy, Team 1 quickly approached the armored Ford Raptor, where El Gallo, the Sinaloa Sonora deputy commander, was hiding. He was dragged from the driver's seat seconds after the window glass was shot out, handcuffed behind his back, with an encrypted laptop and two satellite phones confiscated on the spot. All weapons transaction data and internal communications were immediately secured for transport back to base. Meanwhile, other teams searched the intact vehicles, recovering dozens of AK-47s, handguns, heavy machine guns, and the entire drug shipment worth hundreds of millions of dollars, according to DEA estimates. Any gunman still resisting was immediately neutralized. Those who dropped their weapons and surrendered were tied up and removed from the battle. 27 minutes after the first explosion, the gunfire faded. The smoke and dust began to clear, leaving only the sound of American boots and radio chatter. The commander ordered a ceasefire. The AC-130J left its orbit, and the MQ-9 Reaper switched to long-range surveillance to ensure no cartel reinforcements approached. The SEALs established a perimeter around the scene while DEA agents inventoried the shipment and escorted the prisoners. In the quiet desert, the light from dozens of portable lamps illuminated the charred vehicle wrecks, the distorted armor plates, and the torn cargo bags. It was a testament to a perfect ambush, where every calculation was timed to the second and measured to the meter, leaving the enemy no chance to respond. As the first rays of the July morning sun shone golden on the Arizona desert, the battle scene still smoldered. The smell of gunpowder and burnt rubber hung heavy in the air. The commander's report listed the cold numbers: 14 armored pickup trucks and 3 heavy-duty trucks destroyed or seized. 47 Sinaloa gunmen eliminated, 19 captured alive. The entire drug shipment, weapons, and over $50 million in cash were secured by the DEA. U.S. forces suffered no casualties. Only one SEAL was lightly injured and safely evacuated. The capture of El Gallo and his weapons transaction data were quickly reported to Washington, and within a few hours he was transported from Luke Air Force Base for interrogation and extradition preparations. The Pentagon and the DEA praised the operation as a major blow to Sinaloa's supply chain and command network. Not only because of the massive material losses, but also because of the strategic message: the U.S. can wait, watch, and strike when the enemy is weakest. U.S. and Mexican media exploded with articles. Images of the cartel's burning convoy and the sealed cargo became symbols of the coordination between SEAL Team 6 and the Air Force in desert warfare. At the scene, a rare moment occurred when a SEAL shook hands with the AC-130J pilot. A mobile screen replayed the UAV footage in the background, confirming that true power lies not in shooting first, but in waiting for the perfect moment to strike, and ensuring the enemy never has a chance to respond. For Sinaloa, this was more than a tactical defeat. It was a crack in their legend of invincibility at the border. For the U.S., it was a clear reminder that any transnational criminal organization crossing a red line can be stopped. The July 2025 ambush will be studied in tactical manuals as a classic example of patience, meticulous preparation, and multi-service coordination, wiping out a target in less than half an hour. The ambush on July 14, 2025 in the Arizona desert was not just a tactical victory against the Sinaloa Cartel. It was a living testament to the combined power of U.S. intelligence, patience, and superior military capability. From tracking the armored convoy with an MQ-9 Reaper to planting claymore mines and seismic sensors in the canyon, every step was calculated down to the second and the meter. When the first explosion rang out, the AC-130J Ghost Rider and SEAL Team 6 coordinated seamlessly, cutting off all enemy resistance and retreat. The capture of El Gallo and his weapons transaction data dealt a direct blow to the cartel's command, shaking their sense of invincibility. This sent a clear message: the U.S. can wait, watch, and strike when the enemy is most vulnerable. Americans can be proud of an armed force that is not only unmatched in firepower, but also superior in strategy, ready to defend every inch of land and border from any threat. The nation's leaders must continue to invest in surveillance technology, electronic warfare, and joint training. That is the key to this decisive victory. For the enemy, this is a warning: in any desert, sea, or jungle, if you cross the U.S. red line, you will face its full power from the sky, the ground, and the shadows, with no way out. This is not just a military operation. It is a declaration of America's will and ability to protect the country. If you want to keep following stories about daring, precise U.S. military operations, hit the subscribe button now. Thank you for joining, and see you in the next video with even more dramatic and exciting battles.